Adrian, welcome to my channel. Today I'm here to bring you the second part of my June wrap up. If you missed the first part, I did the first 7 books that I read this month already in an earlier video because I figured I didn't want to have a super long video, and it worked out pretty well. Today I have only 4 books to talk to you about, but 2 of them were 600-page plus books, so I'm still pretty happy. Before we jump into the wrap up, I wanted to quickly mention, if you have not yet entered my giveaway, I will leave it up here for you. Please go do so, because I would love to be able to give one of you the giveaway prize. I'm very excited, and it closes on Tuesday, so time is running out. Go check it out now while you can. As far as ratings go, I didn't have a fantastic reading month. I had a lot of 3-star reads. Not too awful, not too great, but it put me in a little bit of a reading slump, but that's neither here nor there. That's for another video. The first book that I completed was Beautiful Creatures by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. I didn't know anything about this book going in. I figured Beautiful Creatures would be like vampires and werewolves. It ended up being more like casters, which isn't my favorite genre, so I only ended up giving this one 3 stars, but only because it didn't particularly speak to me. It was interesting because I'm not a big fan of casters. I almost wanted to DNF it, but I was invested in the story enough to continue on. So it wasn't awful. 3 stars for me is not a bad rating. It just wasn't my style book. This follows a boy named Ethan and a girl named Lena. It's told from Ethan's perspective, and he comes from a small town in, I believe, North Carolina, which is sort of like this Civil War history town. Everybody's all about the Civil War. It's a really small town, so when Lena, the niece of the town shut-in, moves to town and starts going to the school, she's sort of rejected by everybody but Ethan, and she has these weird things about her, and you're trying to figure out what that is. Ethan's been having these weird dreams about this mystery girl, and it ends up being Lena, the new girl in school, and so you're trying to find out what that all means. It was a pretty good book, like I said. Not my favorite, but still 3 stars worthy. Next up is the book that I am the most excited about. This book has been on my TBR for a very long time. I got this for Christmas a couple years ago because I really wanted to read it. And when I got it, I saw how big it was, and it had all the glossaries and the indexes and the character lists, so I was very intimidated. But I was really in for it. I finally picked it up, and I'm glad that I did. That is The Black Prism by Brent. This is the first book to the Lightbringer series. I have a whole spoiler-free review for this one. It's actually a new review that I'm trying out, the spoiler-free speed review. So go check that out and let me know what you think about it, if you like that type of book review or you prefer the regular long one. So I'm not going to talk about this one in too much great detail. I gave this one a 3.75. I did like it. I had a problem with some of the remarks that were in this book, so it got a big chunk off of the rating. Had those remarks not been in there, it would have been much higher because I really enjoyed it. This one takes place in a world where you can draft magic based on the color of light. You have various types of magicians. You've got monochromes who can draft magic from only one color from the light spectrum, and you've got polychromes who can draft magic from multiple colors from the spectrum. You've got biochromes that can draft 2 kinds, but then you have the prism who can draft all 7 kinds. In the history of prisms, there has only been 1 prism, except for this generation. Our prism in this generation is called Gavin, and he had a brother named Dazin. There was what they called the Prism Wars, where they were fighting out who would be the Black Prism. Gavin won. He's the newest Black Prism. He's a great guy, really complicated. He meets a character named Kip along the way who he brings to the school for magicians, and Kip has to learn how to become a light magician. There are so many characters in this book that I didn't talk about in my speed review because I need to do it under 3 minutes, but I loved each and every one of the characters. Like I said, my only issue with the book was the derogatory comments that were in here, but the rest of the book was so good. I cannot wait to read the next one. I think it's called The Binding Knife. Another book that I finally read that has been on my bookshelf since way before I started my YouTube channel, that I had just been putting aside, I finally read, and that's The Last Time We Say Goodbye by Cynthia Han. I have previously read the Unearthly trilogy by Cynthia Han, and I really like this one. This one follows a girl named Lexi, and Lexi has a brother named Tyler, and he has committed suicide. And it follows Lexi and her mom and her dad and the way that they are dealing with the repercussions of the suicide and how it affects each one of their lives individually. This was a heavy topic. I did enjoy it. I gave this one 3 stars. Obviously there are trigger warnings for this book for suicide because it is a book about suicide, but despite the difficult topic, I thought that the character growth in Lexi was really well done. You really clearly see the ups and downs that she has. The only thing about this book is that I found that it wrapped up a little bit too neatly for me. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. And lastly, I listened to A Man Called Eva by Frederick Backman. I actually listened to this one in Dutch because the book wasn't originally written in English, and the language that it was written in is actually closer to the Dutch language than the English language. So I did that with Pippi Longstocking, for example. I like to listen to those in the language that's closer to the original language, or as close to it as I can get. This book I gave it 4 stars. I really love this one. It follows a grumpy old man called Eva, who you very much fall in love with. If you've read Eleanor Oliphant Is Completely Fine by Gail Henneman, you will also enjoy this book. It's very similar. Eva is not having a good go at life. I can't really talk a lot about what's going on because it gets really spoilery really quickly, but you find out the reason why he's so grumpy. And the reason that I really loved this book is because it sort of reminded me that if somebody's having a bad day or somebody's being a grump in general, you never really know what's going on in their lives, and to give them a break and to try to be kind, and how the smallest acts of kindness really can change somebody's life. I love books that make me think like that. I can't remember if I told you already, but I gave this one a 4 stars. I definitely recommend this book as well. So that's it for the second part of my June wrap up. Not quite as big as the first part of my June wrap up, but still a bunch of lengthy books that I am very proud of, that I finally read. These are a lot of these books are books that I have been on my TBR for so long, so I'm very proud of myself. Let me know down below what your favorite book was this month, and don't forget to check out the giveaway video. It's really simple to enter. Don't miss out on your chance to win a cool giveaway prize. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you have not yet, I would love for you to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.